All right then, we'll try this again. Had to regroup after Henry puked on me on the trip up to New Hampshire.
Recalculating.
I'm about 45 minutes away
Turn left on Pleasure Landings Glade Road.
from North Conway, so
Turn right on White Mountain Highway.
I smell a little bit like cat puke and Purell.
Drive 19 miles on White Mountain
So
Highway.
my theory is,
Turn right on White Mountain Highway.
if you get something on you like cat puke and you put some Purell on it. Purell's supposed to kill 99.9% of the germs.
19 miles on White Mountain Highway.
So who knows? I mean, maybe that takes a curse off. But hey, I love my cat, and I'm not gonna freaking leave him home if I'm staying somewhere. And that's what it's gonna be. So anyway, I forget exactly what I was trying to convey about the Marblehead Chamberlain gunning Dory. Certainly, I won't get much done this Veterans Day weekend on it. That being, I'll get zero done. Basically, been talking on the phone in the interim to some potential investors and stuff like that who want to get involved in our real estate ventures. And, so that will take up a decent amount of time, and I want to see some friends up here too. So, and I also have to do some work at the Registry of Deeds on a tower that we're going to build in Atkinson, New Hampshire. So that's what's going on. I'm going to sign off, but I do want to make note that it's Veterans Day. I'm not a veteran. The Vietnam War was surging when I was around. My father, who was a veteran, was very against it. He was a disabled veteran, actually. His father, my grandfather, was gassed in the trenches in World War I. My father-in-law, my wife Joanne's father, Joe LeBlanc, he was taken prisoner by the Chinese in the Korean War. And I can go on and on. I've always kind of felt guilty that I wasn't a veteran myself. Did spend some time in Army ROTC when I was in college. It became a corporal. But I jumped out when the draft ended. And the Vietnam War actually ended. I wouldn't have gone to Vietnam by that time. I had a student deferment. So, but I would say that I try not to have any regrets in life, not being a veteran, not serving in the armed services is something that I wish I had done. But that's where it is. I could never talk to my father about his experiences in the Coast Guard during World War II. He was, what I understand is he was shot off of a ship. The ship sunk. He spent hours and hours in the North Atlantic. Ended up with rheumatic fever and also some sort of a disability that had him in the hospital in Brooklyn for a whole year. And if I ever, when I was a young kid, and I'd ask him about the war, he actually would just start to cry. And he was a tough son of a bitch. So I never pushed that. That was first time that ever happened. It was the last time I ever asked him, and he never brought it up. But a couple months before he died, and he died as a young man. He was only 55. But he had all sorts of complications from accidents and stuff. But a couple of months before he died, I remember him talking to me about, he wanted to know what happened to his father, who was gassed in World War I, and what particular battle he was gassed in. That mustard gas was vicious stuff that the Germans used to float through the trenches, and it would just get in your lungs and just melt you from the inside out. It was terrible. But and that's what happened to my grandfather, who died soon after he came back from the war. And my grandmother died young too. So they had 5 kids, 2 of which ended up with my mother and father before I was born, my uncles, Dick and Bill. And a tough situation. We are so freaking lucky here in the United States. We haven't been invaded like they have in Europe and Russia and places like that, and so we haven't really felt the ravages of war. We've had it very good. The reason is because of the sacrifices of people like my family members that I'm talking about now. So I revere people who spent time in the military. And I have a friend, Jim Lundgren, who was in the Army, went to high school with him. And we were thanking him for his veteran services a couple of years ago on Facebook. He said, well, I didn't do anything. I just spent time in West Germany. But hey, you stood there on the wall. You stood there on the wall, and the fact that somebody didn't shoot at you, that's a bonus. But you still maintained a presence so that we can have a way of life, and I'm very grateful for that. I think about it a lot. I think about every one of those kids who were maimed in Iraq, whether or not you agree with us being there. I didn't agree that we should be in Vietnam, but I certainly did revere the veterans who came back from Vietnam. But there's some snowflakes out there who will make fun of people who served in wars that they didn't support, and screw them. The only reason they're able to make fun and act so pretentious is because their freedom of speech has been protected by the people that they're making fun of. So I didn't mean to get this to be so dark. It's actually, temperature-wise, is a pretty nice day, and closing in on the Ossipee area up in New Hampshire. Interesting politically up here. Normally it's a pretty Republican state. I think Hillary Clinton did a pretty good job making it a close race. The state was carried by the Republicans in the end, and yet they won a Democratic seat. The Governor Maggie Hassan, who is a moonbat, in my opinion, a typical liberal. She beat out the sitting Senator Kelly Ayotte by 1,001 votes. And Ayotte, who I admire, she's an attorney and she's well-spoken, but she also isn't fit to be a politician, in that all of a sudden she dumped Trump. When people were trying to label him with saying all that misogynistic stuff, which was bullcrap. He might have said that on a bus. Let me just tell you something. If you tell me that you have never let your hair down and said asshole things like that you didn't want recorded and you didn't mean, then you're a freaking liar. I've done it. All my friends have done it. I've seen my friends do it. So, all of a sudden somebody tapes this guy 10 years ago when this other guy is saying, hey, what's it like to be a big celebrity around women? So they're talking smack. And the people who can't buy that and take what he said literally, grow freaking up. I actually had some Facebook friends who defriended me when I brought this up. People I really liked. I felt bad for a second, a freaking nanosecond, that when they defriended me. And then after that, it's like, shit. If they don't understand this, then there's something there's something disorderly there that I really shouldn't be continuing a relationship with anyway. So it went from there, and I just love it when they try to characterize Trump as hurtful to women and everything. Give me a break. He's a billionaire. If he was going around screwing around with women, especially assaulting them with his money, he would have been sued over and over. And yet all these people come out with these allegations, a lot of which were put up, I think all of which, to be truthful, I think every freaking one was put up by the Clinton campaign. And when it comes right down to it, and the thing is over, so who gives a shit? Who wants to put their energy into it? When it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, the Dems did a lot of dirty shit in this campaign. That's not to say that Republicans don't do that stuff, but it was just pretty obvious. And then when WikiLeaks came out, it was documented, all the crazy stuff that they were doing. They completely screwed Bernie Sanders. Not that I care. I mean, Bernie Sanders was a pandering communist. I would have followed Bernie Sanders in the 70s when I was in college and everything, but what the hell? You get older and your brain cells mature. But that happens for most people. It didn't happen for him. He made a career out of being a communist up there in Burlington, Vermont. But I don't know. That's what I have for you today. I'm gonna get to my final destination. I'm gonna get Henry out of this truck. I gotta fumigate the shit out of it because it freaking smells, and I freaking smell. So we're gonna find a laundromat and we're gonna take a shower. And I know, Henry, back off. You can't have any more puke in you because you've already puked it all out. So, all right then. We'll catch you later.